Okay, so I thought it'd be helpful to post this brief tutorial on how to play Marauders. Once you've unpacked your game, you'll want to set up the game area. And the first thing you'll do is set up the outer portion of the island. And then you'll lay out the 16 main tiles that make up the interior portion of the island. And I've left this one loose just to show you how you put these together. And you can randomly lay those 16 tiles out any way you want. In this case, I've left all of the forests together, the mountains, the grasslands, and the deserts. This is a beginner setup, and putting the tiles together in these areas does make the game a little bit easier the first time you play. The other thing you want to make note of when you set up the game area are these river systems, which are the blue lines, and basically the more blue lines that are connected, the easier the game will be, since there are some cards during the game that allow you to navigate these rivers. The next thing you'll do is lay out these 16 treasure chests randomly face down on the island. No one should know the values on the undersides of any of the chests. Each player will then take his or her pieces, which consist of 2 scouts, 6 of these markers, 4 guards, and 2 Marauders cards. You'll then take the key cards, you'll shuffle them, and then you'll deal each player in the game 3 random key cards. I'm setting this up as a 3-player game. Obviously, if you had 4 players, you would deal 4 piles. You then take the green resource cards, shuffle those as well, and then deal each player 2 resource cards randomly. So at the beginning of the game, each player receives 3 key cards and 2 random resource cards. You'll of course want to make sure that the dice are in the game area. And then you'll want to lay out what is called the vault, which consists of 10 diamond cards, 10 ruby cards, 10 emeralds, 10 golds, 10 silvers, and then there'll be 1 remaining card. The last thing you'll do to set up the game is to lay out the clues. Now you'll remember that the objective of Marauders is that each of you are on this island in search of an ancient artifact, which is buried underneath one of the many red X's throughout the island. And you may notice that the game board has many landscape features. I've already mentioned some of them, for example, the forests, the mountains, the grasslands, the deserts. But you'll also notice that there are many lakes, there are swamps, there are rocks. You'll notice all the X's are on top of rocks or caves. So there are different landscape features, and what you'll do during the game is unlock a series of clues that will narrow down exactly under which X this ancient artifact is buried. So I'm going to show you quickly how to set up these clues. There are also instructions in the rulebook which you can follow. The clues are these cards that have the red X's on the back. And the first thing you'll want to do is take these 4 cards, these square colors, and each of these corresponds to an area on the board. So for example, if you were to draw this card during the game, you would know that the artifact is buried in this portion of the island. If you were to draw this card, you would know it would be buried in the mountains, in this portion of the island. So you'll take these 4 cards and you'll set them aside as set 1. You'll then take these 2 cards, which will be set 2. And you'll notice these are the cards that have the blue circle on them versus the brownish green circle. You'll notice each of the water features on the island have one of these 2 colors. So obviously there are the lakes, which are these blue water areas, or there are the swamps, which are these brownish green areas. And so this will help you identify whether the artifact is buried near a lake or a swamp. And you'll set those 2 clues aside. You'll then take these 2 clues, which are these black shapes. Some people see a bear in this case, or a turtle. But regardless, all of the bodies of waters, whether they're lakes or swamps, have one of these 2 shapes on the island. So for example, this body of water has this shape, as does this body of water. And the swamps also have these same shapes. Or the other shape they'll all have are these turtle shapes. So you'll notice this lake has this shape, this swamp has this shape. So all the bodies of water on the island have one of these 2 shapes. And you'll set these 2 clues aside. You'll then take these 2 clues, which are rocks and cave. As I already mentioned, all the X's on the island are either on top of a rock or a cave. And so these clues will narrow down which X, where the artifact is buried, whether it's buried under a rock or in a cave. And you'll set these 2 clues aside. Then the last 2 clues, the 5th set of clues that you'll create, are these 2 Marauders clues. These are dead-end clues. These don't actually help you solve where the artifact is, but they'll be in the game to slow you down and send you down the wrong path in some cases. So the way you set the clues in the game is you take both of these clues, both of the Marauders clues, and you place them face down. You then take the other 4 sets of clues you've created, you shuffle them, you select one card from each set of these clues and take the other cards that you aren't using and set them outside the game area. And of course you want to make sure that no one sees the values of any of the clues, even the ones that you've taken out of the game area. So you do the same thing for the next set of clues. You shuffle them, you pick one, place the other one outside the game area. Shuffle the next set, you pick one, place the others outside the game area. And the same thing with the last set. And then you may want to take these clues, again, that you're not using in the game now, put them in the game box or some other area where people can't see them during the game. And then you now have 6 clues. You take these clues, you shuffle them, and then you'll place each clue in line with each of these cards in the vault. And what happens then is during the game, that for example, this clue becomes the gold clue, this clue becomes the ruby clue, the emerald clue, and so on. And what you do during the game is you send your scouts out into the island. Your scouts open these treasure chests, and depending on the values on the treasure chests and the values that get rolled on the dice, players will begin collecting different jewels from these treasure chests. And the jewels, when you collect them in the right combinations, can be traded in to unlock each one of these clues. So for example, if I can collect a certain number of emeralds during the game, I'll be able to unlock the emerald clue. During the game, the clues all stay face down, but just to show you, for example, how this clue set would work, let me flip all of these face up. And let's suppose that this had been the actual clue set during the game. Of course, these 2 clues here were dead-end clues. I didn't actually need to earn these clues during the game. These are the 4 that were important. Because the game's randomized, these 2 dead-end clues could have ended up anywhere in the clue set. In this case, I would know that the artifact is buried somewhere in the grasslands, which is this area. It's buried near a swamp, which tells me it's either up here near this swamp, which is in the grasslands, or this area down here, which is the swamp in the grasslands. It tells me it's buried in the swamp that's shaped like a turtle, which is this swamp. So this swamp here has the shape of the bear. This swamp has the shape of the turtle. So now I know the artifact is buried somewhere in this area, and this last clue tells me that it's buried under a rock. And you'll notice I have 2 X's near this swamp, one in a cave, one on a rock. So I know that the artifact is now buried in this particular space. And the way you win the game is it's the first player to unlock the clues, find the artifact, and then move one of their scouts onto the correct X. So this game does have a lot of moving parts and rules. I think the best way to learn it is to actually play a game. So I'm going to film a game. You're welcome to watch it. So I will reset all of these clues. I'm going to go recruit a couple of people to play the game, and I'll be back.